So I really haven't done as much gas blowback rifles for about a couple weeks. And I have to admit, you did see this rifle on for Tech Work Tuesday / posted on a Wednesday. But why don't we do an actual review, because we haven't done it in a while, another Daniel Defense setup. Mainly this guy here. Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Airsoft Master. And today we're going to be talking about is the EMG CGS Daniel Defense fully licensed PDW 300 Blackout system. Jesus, this is a long title. Either way, we're going to be doing a review on the gas blowback rifle, as this is my personal setup, right, I have here. But before we do that, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and basically drop a comment down below. What do you think about the Daniel Defense PDW system, or even the CGS variant? As basically when we see in comments or actual analytics, we do notice you guys do like watching more of the gas blowback system. So I think it's time we go back into a PDW variant and seeing what it looks good about it. So picture this, that you wanted a shorter gas blowback rifle for training purposes that are more close quarters and tight end, even shorter than a Mark 18. Well, this would be your answer, which is the EMG CGS Daniel Defense 300 Blackout PDW Gas Blowback Rifle. This is a pretty long title, but either way, let's do what we normally do in the reviews by working away from the front and to the back end of the rifle. So what we notice about this is what we do have is a very huge muzzle device in the front. And I mean, it's very huge at a point where, sorry for flagging, but it's huge. And one thing I do have to admit though, it is a very short system on here. Alongside underneath that shroud is you do have a 14mm counterclockwise threading. So if you wanted to put such as a muzzle flash on there, or even a suppressor style, just to go with that nice little touch up 300 blackout setups, you can with this guy. Now let's go ahead and work our way to the rail, which we all know from the previous video I did on the AEG variant of the Daniel Defense M4. You do have on 300 Blackout PDW is the RIS III style. And I do have to admit, I do like this style more often on here, as you still have the modern concepts of an M-lock rail segment at the 3 o'clock. You still have it at the 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock positions with a 12 o'clock Picatinny rail on top. Alongside with that is you do have it go all the way to the back end of the receiver, being monolithic, to put like such as I did here, my Unity type of hybrid mount of the actual red dot and magnifier in the back end. Again, nice little touches. Your M-lock is still ready to go. So say for example, like I did put a foregrip and rail covers and an offset system to put my actual torch flashlight I have connected to my end of the other side of the handguard. Again, you're able to do whatever attachments you would need for that close quarter setup. Now, before we get into the receiver, let's go ahead and talk about the trademarks on this rifle. Surprisingly enough, you have a full replicating of licensing trademarks of DD and Daniel Defense all over this thing. In fact, that it does say it a lot more often. For example, we do have this typical inscribed with the Daniel Defense, mainly also where it's located in Black Creek, Georgia. And at the same time, what I do like about this is what they do on most of their uppers is they have the caliber of the 300 Blackout on here. And again, what you have, which is the DDM4 PDW. Nice little touches, and again, for attention to detail. But they wouldn't stop there, as there are a couple things that are key features on here, such as, now this is my favorite part, they do have the DD on the bolt carrier. So again, it's very nice. The only drawback I have with EMG, and I do have to say, this does kind of give it the lack on it. Why do they have to print out that weird 300 blackout on the dust cover? They couldn't just do like they did with the AEGs, have the DD on there. It would have made it a little bit more perfect on there by just having the DD instead of this 300 blackout on the actual dust cover. that did keep a little sour taste on my taste buds on this. But I digress as we move on forward. Another thing that we do notice on this Daniel Defense trademark is we also do get it on the pistol grip as well, like you would see on the DDM4s on today's modern setups, like the DDM47s, again with their signature type of actual pistol grip and integrated trigger guard. Again, attention to detail is very, very nice when it comes to this for their actual DDM4 PDW. Now, with the new Daniel Defense CGS system, I do have to give credit to on updating on their paint job in comparison to the Noveske N4. As the Noveske N4 after previous years, the paint does tend to strip off. But for Daniel Defense themselves, it is a very good system, and having this for quite some time now, for about, I would say, 2 months, the paint still looks very brand new. Again, a couple nicks on here from when I would try to test it out when at Tac City or at other outside fields, but it's still held on very strong to this day. So, good on that for EMG by having the more durable paint on here, allowing it to take a usual beating. So, just like any other typical gas blowback, you still have your standard controls of being the safe, semi, and full auto, and alongside that, your bolt carrier group, bolt catch, will actually still work. So, for example, if I lock it back, bolt is locked back to the rear, push the paddle, still functions the same way. Now, in regards of ambidextrous side, you do have ambidextrous on the charging handle itself to help lock in the bolt. Other than that, unfortunately, it's not really ambidextrous as most of it's still going to be on the right hand side, but it still can be used and manipulated to help out by being adaptive. Now, we did talk about previously on the Noveske N4 CGS system about how it has the same adjustable trigger system to adjust everything you would need to make it as more comfortable for the user. What I did to this one as my personal setup is you could get it as close as you can to the wall before it strikes down the hammer. For example, let's go ahead and pull the trigger. Again, right there on the wall. Now let's go ahead and see that reset. Again, right there, nice and crisp. Now let's go ahead and get into more about the pistol grip, as one thing we notice is, again, yes, it does look like the Daniel Defense AR grip that we see on the DDM4 version 7s. Now, for this one, it is the same setup, and I do admit it's a very comfortable, as we noticed that we do have is the rubberized part on the bottom end of the AR grip itself. And you still have the intentions to put your thumb rest, so making it a lot more comfortable, yet still stable to hold on to the rifle. Again, nice work, EMG. Now, let's go ahead and see basically where we would need to adjust Hopup and how to get to it. For first things first is what we're going to do is take out the magazine, and then we're going to break the rifle down shotgun style. Of course, all you need to do is just push the pin out on the body pin. And then we're going to take out the bolt carrier group and the charging handle out. And inside you'll see is a Hopup adjustment tool right here that can be adjusted by using a flathead screwdriver inside to help increase or decrease to whatever weight size BB you want to use to adjust the backspin. Again, once you're done, one thing I do like about this is the fact that you won't have any other choices of any vibration or causing any other issues of actually readjusting your Hopup with the T8 CGS Hopup system. But the good news is once you adjust that, you're good to go. While we were talking about adjusting the Hopup and talking about internals, let's actually talk about TM compatibility on the internals for this rifle. To answer your question, yes, it is TM compatible with certain extents to the parts in here, such as one thing we did test is the stock. As I know some of you are going to say, Mike, this ain't a PDW unless you have a PDW brace, which you're absolutely correct. And you can get PDW braces to actually work on this, as such as like the Strike Industries one, or even the Daniel Defense PDW setups that can go on this will work just fine. Now, internally on the bolt carrier group, you can make it magazine compatible for TM by just swapping the nozzle, which, again, like I did on my tech work video, you'll see that you can swap it out and make it TM compatible for other magazines out there, such as the Guns Modify, your Tokyo Marine stock magazines, just anything more other than the EMG CGS Lancer ones. Another really important thing about the Daniel Defense PDW, mainly the more recent of the DDM4 lineup for the CGS, is surprisingly the internal compatibility on the TM part. Specifically, this should be very familiar to you guys on a very previous video. Now, what's interesting about what we talked about the Noveski by Double Eagle, we noticed that the lower was more TM compatible. The question is it the same thing compatible for specifically lower? Because some of you guys have to admit, you guys always wanted a Daniel Defense lower on here. Don't worry guys, as this is the test, we're going to be testing it out to see if it's actually compatible. So let's might as well put it to work and see if this is actually compatible. First things first, we're going to take out the mag and disassemble the upper from the lower. And now we have is this Frankenstein behemoth, which actually is more pretty cool. In between is the CGS and the Tokyo Marui upper combined. As you can tell, I actually have a nice Daniel Defense lineup here, which is pretty cool, and I'll give it the credit. But just because I like it doesn't mean it will work. So, will it work? That's the question. It sits, it locks. Well, let's find out. Locks back, that's good. Does it cycle through? Oh my God. All right, so good job on the actual CGS lineup by having it more TM compatible, as now we can say that the upper is actually ready to go. And the fact that we see it fit on the CGS lower. So that is a pretty good basis from there. But what about the CGS upper? Now, it does fit in very well from the front end of the body pin once we hinge it down. The only drawback between these two, though, unfortunately, is it won't properly close even if we try to do our best to push the buffer tube down and try to get the body pin. As we can see, the gap is still an issue, meaning that it's not really the upper is more compatible to a TM lower. But the good news is for your CGS lower, it is TM compatible. So good job on that on the T8 and SPS systems. Speaking of which, about the internals, the one thing I will have to inform you on the inner barrel on this guy is it is actually around the 160 millimeters for the length of the inner barrel, and it comes with standard A605. If you do want to upgrade your inner barrel, basically do message us on info@airsoftmaster.com, and then we can help you out in regards to finding the right length, as I personally did with this one. And now we're on to the magazine compatibility test. As we all know, it won't be a typical review without it. So, this is the standard EMG Lancer that holds about 30 to 35 rounds. Now, let's see if it finds out if it's got enough recoil and enough cycles through. Yes. Now, this should be very familiar to you, as this is the same one that we use to help do the Tech Work Tuesdays, basically even though it's posted up on a Wednesday, is the fact that if we swap it out to the nozzle to make it more TM compatible to the magazines such as the Guns Modify Evos or even standard stock Tokyo Marui MWS magazines. Well, I believe you know where this is going. The answer is yes. So, whether or not, if you want to do the nozzle change to modify it to whatever magazine that would be more beneficial to you, again, you can either keep it stock or change it out to be more TN compatible, depending on what mags you own or want to purchase. I'm using 0.20 gram BBs and regular Jag race gas. So when we chrono this, on average, we were looking from the lowest being around the 340 to the highest around the 370 FPS, which is pretty good. But if you want to make it more indoor friendly for your fields, you can do this by just changing out the valve for more of a CQB setup, such as like the Unicorn low pressure valve systems that you can install inside your nozzles to make it more friendlier for the CQB fields out there. So when you do purchase your Daniel Defense PDW, you're able to get the following, which is your gun, your Lancer magazine, but of course you're going to end up with is an actual card of authenticity stating that you have a fully licensed Daniel Defense, and as well as at the back end of it, you're going to end up with is the QR code of the actual manual system for your thing for such as to either do troubleshooting or maintenance on the gun. But it doesn't stop there, as of course they're going to give you is the jamming rod and alongside a speed loader that will load up your magazine for it, so to make everything you would need on the go. Again, the only thing you would need on the go is some gas and some BBs. So, is this something that you want in your overall collection? In all aspects of the real world situations of PDWs, I have to admit, I was always a fan of Daniel Defense. And mainly, the PDW did catch my eye, especially the fact that I saw that one YouTube video with Colin Noir about the actual Daniel Defense PDW. So, I would say in the actual realism point of if you want something more close to a close quarter situation of a PDW, Daniel Defense does have that basis there pretty well, and specifically with EMG and the TA system on here, giving you the more closer chance of having your own personal PDW with a Daniel Defense lineup. Again, new setup with a new short compact idea for close quarter situations, and it is a pretty nice rifle. And if you're looking to buy one of these rifles, go ahead and check it out at airsoftmaster.com. And also for this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and drop a comment down below what you feel about the actual PDW system like this. But other than this episode, my name's Mike. I'll see you guys next time. And let's go ahead and mod this bad boy.
This video is brought to you by Airsoft Master.